Good morning. It's February Boy with another video. This is part one of the videos that I promised about for my kids, and I do have an answer from the doctor that I went to the other day. So the answer is that I have to have a defibrillator put in my chest. My fraction rates were still low. So my heart's not pumping the way it should. So anyways, this is all going to be done after September 10th sometime. So like I said, these are videos that I'm going to be doing all the way up until then, and then I will do videos afterwards about how it went, how I'm doing, and if you care, and other things. So let's start this out with the fact that I'm going to talk about my past, and this is for my children. And here is the start of how it started. On April 20th, 1951, my mother and my father got married. On February 19th, I was born in 52, and I was born at Norton Hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. Just a little bit of backstory though. My dad married my mother, but her father wasn't very happy with that. So, that led to a lot of disdain between my father and my grandfather at the time. That was then. So, anyways, that's part of the later on in the life story. So, and another thing. Within a year, or a little over a year, then one of my sisters was born. She was born in Norton Hospital in 1953. Then I had another sister in 55. She was born at Norton Hospital in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. And she was born at Norton. And then I had a brother who was born in 1959. He was born in St. Joe's Hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. So in 1959, we decided all to move to Los Angeles because at that time everybody was saying that's the place to go, that's where to make money, that's all that good stuff. And you got to understand, I hated it even then to leave Louisville, Kentucky. You got to understand, I had a lot of cousins, a lot of uncles. People that we used to go to my grandmother's house after church, and we would have picnics, and we would play games like Simon Says or whatever, kick the can down the alley or whatever the games were back then. I'm getting old, so I know them. I just have to be reminded sometimes. But anyways, I had a good time with my cousins, so I missed that a whole lot. So that was probably the biggest downfall about moving to Los Angeles. Everybody here, we thought in Kentucky at the time, we're moving to Los Angeles, we're going to see Disneyland and all that good stuff. But anyways, to get back to the story, from the age of 3, I was a little church kid. I went to church with my dad's side of the family, most of all. I didn't want to go to the Sunday school part. I wanted to sit in the big church because I wanted to listen to the loud preacher that used to keep people, that I would sit there and watch my grandfather get woke up because he would fall asleep. If it wasn't for my grandmother nudging him with her elbow, wake up, wake up. But I loved church. I went to church. That was like every Sunday. I never missed a day. It was part of my life. I did go to church with my other grandparents a couple of times. They went to a different Baptist church on the other side of town. It was different going there, but because I was really into Eastern Parkway Baptist Church, where the Marlowe side of the family went. So it was nothing with being wrong with the other side of the family. I just like going with them. So I did that for the whole time I was growing up. I mean, in Kentucky. Stopped going to church when I went to California because whatever. It was different there. But then when I went back to Kentucky in '61, I went to church again, and so on and so on. But anyways, my life consisted of, I love being with my grandparents, because they, I don't know, I just love being with them. I was the first born on my mother's grandson born on the my mother's side of the family. So I was the first one, and then Vicky, and then so on and so on and so on. But we were the first for the Prince side of the family. On the Marlowe side of the family, there was a lot of them that was older than me, but some of them were the same age as me, and mostly of them were girls. There was not too many boys in the thing. There was mostly girls that were born in the Marlowe side of the family. So, anyways, to get to the story, we moved to. Well, before the story, I became a Dodger fan. It was a Brooklyn Dodger fan, actually, and when I moved to Los Angeles, the Dodgers had just moved to Los Angeles. So that was one thing that kind of did make me happy. My grandfather on my mom's side of the family used to take me to the games. I mean, we went to a lot of games. I've seen some of the greatest players that ever played the game. I mean, we're talking about Don Drysdale, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, John Roseboro, Sandy Koufax. I've seen these people in person. I mean, so growing up, I mean, I was always a Dodger fan, still a Dodger fan, always will be a Dodger fan. I am a Lakers fan. I am a Dallas Cowboy fan. That's kind of weird because I lived in California, but when I became a Cowboy fan, I was like in 1965 or 66, whenever they became the Cowboys. I was always a fan. So, but anyways, to get back to the story growing up, you got to understand that in the type of family that we grew up in, there was a lot of issues. I mean, not issues that were bad. It was just disciplinary issues were different than what they are nowadays. Wooden sticks, whatever they could find to branch off the thing. And mostly it was my mother. My dad, I don't think ever hit me at one time in his life. My mother would beat hell out of us. So that's just the way she was. That's the way she grew up, because her dad was a cop and he disciplined her a lot, and her sister. So that was just the way it was. So this is mostly my younger years. We went back to we stayed in California for about a year and a half to 2 years. Then my other sister was born, Jonna, in '61, and we left California, went to Kentucky. We didn't stay in Kentucky very long. If anything, we stayed there probably 7 or 8 months, and then we headed back to California. So, and that right there tells you why we had another sister. She was born in '64. So, basically, this is the way it was. So, getting back to my story, because I'm not going to tell my kids' story, and I'm not going to tell, my sisters and brothers' story. I'm not going to tell their stories, and I'm not going to, I'm going to tell you the stories that involve me only. So, back in 62, I guess 62, 63, 64, we was back in California. We lived in a place called the Courts. We called it the Courts. It was an apartment complex that was basically set up with two sides, and everybody in the middle. There was a courtyard, and so that's why we called it the Courts. I had a lot of friends. I met a lot of people. I grew up there. That's the way it was. When I was about, I was 12 years old. I'm gonna go down this real quick. 12 years old, I had my first girlfriend. Her name was Elizabeth. Um, she was just we was just basically we was just friends. And anyways, she moved away, so it was pretty hard on me at first. And then I had my next girlfriend was named Louise. She ended up, we were good friends even after we broke up, and she married my one of my friends, which is great because they had kids. They're great. So and then I had the next girlfriend was named Charlotte. Charlotte, we was together probably about a year. I don't know what happened with that situation. One day I wake up and she decided to go off somewhere else. So that too is fine. It's in the past, and well, we can't live the past. Then the next girlfriend I had her name was Anita. And Anita was younger than me. We're gonna say 16, 17. She was like 14, and she was younger. And even when I turned 18 and then went into the military, she was still my girlfriend at the time. I even asked her to marry me, so I had given her a ring and the whole bit. But things happened when I was in the military. Then when I got back, that changed. So, but that's up to that date. And then before, you got to understand, during all this time, I was in my around 13. I started experimenting with alcohol. I started experimenting with drugs. A lot of amphetamines, a lot of barbiturates, a lot of you name it, I done it. I did things that I'm not proud of, but in a situation, it was a learning lesson. I self-medicated a lot. I think because there was issues going on with my family. One being my dad. He was always in trouble. He ended up in jail, and me and my mother did not get along. I mean, we just never got along. And it was because if, like I have always said, if she liked the color red, I'm gonna like yellow. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, we never got along. We never got along about politics. We never got along about anything. I mean, it was rough. And then when my dad went to jail and she divorced him, that made it even worse. So I really became one of these people that just went bonkers. I've even had it where a 35-year-old man that lived in the courts in a different apartment, one day came out and said something to, I don't know if he said it to my sister or said it to me. It didn't make no difference. I was 14 years old. He said, well, there's the jailbird's kids. And that was not a good thing because I had a very bad temper at that time. So this 35-year-old man took off running, and I took off chasing him. I don't know if you guys remember, most of you guys that are younger wouldn't know what a phone booth was in, but he climbed in a phone booth, and I tore the doors off the phone booth trying to get at him. And a friend of mine's dad had to come and grab me and pull me away from this guy. That's how bad I got. I mean, you couldn't, I don't care what I could say anything I want about my family, but nobody else was allowed to do that. That was just the way it was. I was not a person to mess with at that time. Even though all this was going on, I actually was going to school still. I was still doing all the other junk. I even played football and ran track during these times. I mean, it was hard, but I did it. I worked at this time. I worked as a dishwasher, as a grocery clerk. I done all kinds of jobs. I mean, I love to work. I never had a problem with that. But I just had problems with substance abuse at the time. And the substance abuse kept on going for most of my life. I got worse and worse. And then one day, I think I was about 14, 15, and my mother said, if you don't like it here, leave. And she couldn't even get the whole words out, and I was already gone. I mean, that's just the way it was. I mean, like I said, I wasn't happy there. I mean, I ended up, after that, went and sleeping in people's garages, sleeping in people's cars, living on the streets of Hollywood. I mean, that's just what I did. And I got by. I mean, people don't know my story. I am the only one that knows my story. And there's very few friends that are still alive that know my story. But I know my story. And I have nothing to hide anymore. I am old. I'm 68, so if I'm telling the truth, it's just to get it off my chest right now, and I want my kids to understand why I am the way I am. I didn't have somebody coming around and telling me, I love you, I love you, I love you. Nowadays, they do to their kids, and I am starting to get that way because I'm older, and I'm starting to tell them that I love them. And I did not ever mean to not say that to them when they were growing up. They got to understand that. It was just something that I was never brought up with. That was not in my life. Unless it was my grandmother's, and that's in both sides of the family. If they were the only ones that ever said, I love you. It was not my parents, not my mother. So, not my dad. So you got to understand that. So I never had that. So if I was that way to you kids, I'm sorry. That's just the way I grew up, and I couldn't change. I just couldn't change at the time. Yeah, I've changed now. I can tell you I love you. It doesn't bother me at all. I can say it every day, and it does. I mean, I loved saying it. I love saying it to my grandkids. Because I really do love you guys. It's not just saying the words. I really feel that way. And my feelings and emotions come out more since I've gotten older. And I got to let you guys know this was probably the hardest thing on me most of my life, is being that way. So anyways, there's a lot more to this story. There's a lot more that, some of my siblings are probably going to be angry with me about, but I'm not trying to trash anybody. If you notice, I never trashed anybody just now. I'm just telling my truth, what happened with me. I'm not telling what all I know and what I've seen, because I can't. I won't do that. I am trying to just tell you why I am the way I am now. But I am better now. But I mean before, when you guys were growing up, I just want you to know this is the reason I was the way I was. I mean, it was hard for me to say I love you, even though you were my kids, and I did love you. It was just hard. I mean, that's just the way it was. I watched my dad go to jail several times. I've seen him arrested in front of me several times. And when I get to the next section of this story, which I might do tomorrow even. I got to get these videos done. But I might let you stew a couple of days on this first video, because I've given you a layout of my life, some of it anyways. In the next one, the next layout is even tougher. So it's going to be tough on me to even say. But I want to tell my kids to this day, I love you. And don't forget that. No matter what, there's nobody out there that can say different to you. And I love my grandkids very much. And I love the people that you're with because you love them. And I will never, ever change my ways about that. So I'm going to let you go, and I'll let you stew on this first video. But it's going to get... The next one's probably going to be the worst one, so I'm going to need some time. But anyway, please share, comment, base, subscribe, like. Come on, February boy, do it for me. Help me out. make these videos me. I don't. These videos are already making me feel better. I mean, because I'm spilling my guts to you guys instead of spilling my guts to a psychologist. I would rather talk to you guys than the psychologist, and this is the only way I can, because, like I say, I suffer from social anxiety, so I can't. It's hard to talk in front of people, to people directly, but I can do it through this way, and I'm thankful for it. So, till further ado, I will see you again. Hopefully in a couple of days, I'll start my next volume 2, I guess it'll be called. But anyways, have a good day.